Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Mock Draft Madness. I am Brian M. Hauser. You can find me on Twitter at HawkBlogger, and this is going to be fun. We're going to do something this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are, that we have not done. We have not done this year. We have not done in previous years. I think there are other sites that have done this, so we're not the first to ever do it. But we were talking as a group, and we're like, it'd be really cool if we could get an expert for every team and do a draft where we had someone from every team that really knew their needs and did some mock drafts. I actually have been asked to do that for other sites and always said no. I didn't really have time. I certainly did not have the interest in finding 31 other people that were experts. So instead, we are going to lean on the big brains of Nathan Ernst at Nathan11 and Jeff Simmons at Real Jeff Simmons, and we'll limp along with whatever brain power I can provide to assess, estimate, guess at who these different teams will pick throughout the draft. And we're going to do this for every team. And the way this is going to work is we are going to divvy up all the teams in the NFL among the three of us. And then we're going to pick. We're going to go through. And we're going to go through the mock draft. And we can offer trades to each other. We can make fun of drafting a kicker in the first round. Whatever we choose to do. We can also help each other. So that was another thing I do want to let folks know. We have not done anywhere near the amount of research on these other teams as we've done on the Seahawks. So while we have some decent ideas, I would not say that we're all experts. And if we have something we want to offer to the other person, that there's not like a right and a wrong. So we will offer guidance to each other. And we're not going to intentionally screw a team, although we will get to the 49ers and somehow I got to sign the 49ers. It is going to be very hard to pick honestly for them, but I will do my best. And I'll
Crazy how that happened. Crazy.
I know.
Yeah, it must have been just luck.
Just complete.
I am going to rely on the fellows to keep me honest on that because my finger is going to be on the trigger to pull some really bad moves. All right. Nathan, thank you so much for joining. Can you tell, since you did this work, can you tell folks how we divvied up the teams and who has which teams? We don't have to go through every single one, I guess, but who are your teams? Let's say that. Who are the teams you will be picking for?
I can run through the groups here. So basically what we tried to do is just a easy, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it went me, Jeff, Brian, me, Jeff, Brian. But since it's not like we have some teams that, have multiple picks in the first round, some teams that have none, and then the order changes around in the second and so on. We just set up, we kind of followed that and ended up with a list of teams. So I have the Bears, Cardinals, Titans, Jets, Raiders, Seahawks, Eagles, Packers, Bills, and Panthers. Jeff has the Commanders, Chargers, Falcons, Vikings, Saints, Jaguars, Steelers, Bucks, Lions, Chiefs, and Rams. And Brian, you have the Pats, Giants, Broncos, Colts, Bengals, Dolphins, Cowboys, Ravens, Texans, Niners, and the Browns, with their whole one pick in, I think, the 3 rounds that we'll be doing. So it balances out pretty good. I have 44 picks. Jeff has 48. And Brian, you have 43.
Awesome. And Jeff, one of the things we will do is we're not going to do 7 rounds. We're going to start with 3 rounds. Okay. We're going to see how that goes. That might even be ambitious. We'll see how it goes. And then the idea is we want to try to get through at least 3 mock drafts this way, 3 turns of this. And in each turn, we will switch who is selecting for the Seahawks, which might mean that we need to switch another team. So Nathan has some additional folks to jump in with as we move it along. But this first time through, Nathan gets to be John Schneider as well. So make sure you share your perspective on his picks. Jeff, are you ready? Are you ready to get going?
I am. This is something the first round especially, something I do have a pretty good wide-ranging knowledge. I do study it pretty closely just for my personal gambling and as well as other things I do. So I'm curious what happens in round 2 as we get a little there. But round 1, I think I can help everyone out. So if you need help, feel free to lean on me. I am pretty comfortable with that. I really
got the Canadian lifeline. I love it. Is that a 1-900 number we'll need to call for that help, or is that just a?
Yeah, does HawkBlogger do long distance calls?
I don't know. last thing before we get into it, we already have one of our YouTube members, Hawks fan Matt Man, in the chat. Always great to see him there. I would love to add more folks to the YouTube membership. The link is in the chat. It's pinned there. Easy to join as a YouTube member. It's also in the description of the video. So make sure you join as a YouTube member. You won't regret it. And join as a Patreon member, patreon.com/hawkblogger. You can join, get access to the Slack channel. You'll get the audio version of this podcast and every other one except for the Wednesday night, which everybody gets access to that one. But you have to be a Patreon member to get the audio versions of all the other podcasts, including this one. So patreon.com/hawkblogger is a great way to join and support the show. And give the show a like and click subscribe. We are closing in on 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Would love to cross that barrier right around the draft if possible. So it would be great to have you click the subscribe button. All right. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to see where this starts going wrong. Because it's almost certainly going to start going wrong at some point. Here we are. This is so exciting. The very first pick of the 2024 draft. And Nathan Ernst is on the clock with the first overall pick.
So I've done this. I've ran through a couple dry runs here, and I have to admit that generally, like Washington or the Pats want to trade up, and that's very tempting to me to get a haul of picks and move back a spot because I don't absolutely love Caleb Williams, but I don't think it's realistic, and we probably don't need to spend much time on it. So let's just hit the Caleb Williams button here.
Done. Easiest choice in the draft. Caleb Williams is a Bear. Okay, number 2 is the Washington Commanders. Jeff Simmons has taken over as GM for the Commanders. Lucky them. He's going to have fun because they have a fun draft set of picks. And who are you going to pick with the number 2 pick?
So we had to clarify this before the show. This is the what we think they're going to do, not what I would do.
That is correct. We're trying to, as best we can, approximate. We're trying to beat the mock draft sims that come out with ridiculous outcomes that then leave the Seahawks with like maybe picks that they won't really actually have to make. So let's try to approximate what we think is going to happen. If you were betting, Jeff, that's the answer you want to put here.
So the betting markets have remarkably changed within the last 3 days. Jaden Daniels is now the pretty big favorite to go number 2. Adam Schefter's been throwing out some hints on some local podcasts. So I'm going to follow that and take Jaden Daniels.
Okay. Jaden Daniels, who is way down on the PFF board. He's like
21.
21. Sorry, where did I miss him? I know he's way down here. Okay. So he is number 2. That puts me up here at number 3. And I've thought about this. I've actually been excited to make this, have control of this team and this pick. When I was doing the realistic trade scenarios and looking at what trade values were out there, one of the things I was a little surprised about that I just hadn't done the math before, by the Rich Hill trade chart, I thought the Vikings with pick 11 and pick 23 would actually be looking to move up to spot 4 or spot 5 on the trade chart. If you look at the trade value, it's actually a significantly greater amount. If they just traded 11 and 23, that is more than the third pick is worth by a significant amount. And so I am actually, if I am the Patriots, and I think this is a realistic chance. The Patriots are not a quarterback away. I don't believe that any of the quarterbacks here are so clearly better than who they could get at 11 that the right move for the Patriots is to stick and pick. So I am going to make a trade offer to the Vikings to actually move back. Now, in real life, it would be the other way around. But I think that the right move here is to offer the Vikings the 3rd pick for the 11th and the 23rd pick. Who owns the Vikings here? Jeff, you own the Vikings.
This is where if I was the Vikings, I would pretend to be mildly interested. And after a couple minutes of waiting, I would do that trade. And yes. Brian, your owner just fired you. Robert Kraft would not like that, even though I think it's the absolute right decision.
There are different, like I've seen, I'm not the only person. I went through a bunch of different mocks, and the stock answer here is to go with whatever quarterback, Drake May or whoever, JJ McCarthy, one of those guys. For this particular pass through, I am going to make this trade. I think this is actually the right move.
I agree. I just think
for the Patriots.
Owner,
and I could show people the Rich Hill draft chart if you're curious, but this is actually a very good deal for the Patriots. So we are going to offer this trade. It is going to be accepted. And we are now with the Vikings. Jeff Simmons didn't expect to be on the clock back-to-back picks, but that's exactly what happened. Jeff, you're in the seat now. You got to pick your quarterback, I'm guessing. Who are you going with?
We're going to take Drake May. There's a lot of ties to the Vikings with him. Josh McCown, I believe, coached him in high school, who's their new quarterback coach. They are apparently very high on Drake May. So I think they'd do that trade in a second. So we're going to take Drake May.
Done. Drake May goes number 3. We have 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks in a row, and the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. That is Nathan Ernst again as GM for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm keeping this chalk. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr.
That makes Jeff Simmons cry just a little bit. That's the specific thing he does not want to happen, and it's looking very likely that it could. Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals. Cardinals are also a fun team to draft for.
Oh my God. I get
the Packers.
I get tired of picking for the Cardinals. By the time I get to the third round, I'm like, I've picked everything. I picked all my favorite players. I don't even know what to do anymore. This is ridiculous.
It's so true. You guys got all the fun teams to pick for. We'll see. All right. My big excitement was that trade. Okay, so the 5th pick is the Chargers, and that is Jeff Simmons again. His 3rd pick so far. How are you going to handle this?
I would love to trade down here. Who
would you be targeting?
You don't want to give a quarterback to Denver. That's the only problem. Someone for McCarthy's, but I don't know if New England. I don't think New England would go back up, would they? Brian, would you go back up for McCarthy, or would you?
Well, let's trade chart this one a little bit, if you don't mind. Like, I want to have something realistic, and I've become a pretty dyed-in-the-wool Rich Hill trade value chart because I've looked at trades, and it is in most cases, within 10 points of actual trades that have been made for years now. So if you are the Chargers, that pick is worth 468 points. And you wanted to ask if New England, who now has 11, that pick is worth 358. So where is my handy dandy trade chart calc? Where did it go? Draft. There it is. All right. So you've got 468. 468. And I've got 358. So you would need to come up with, or I would need to come up with 110 points, which is the equivalent of a mid 4th round pick. I would 100% do that to move up. Would you take that? If I gave you a 4th round pick, New England has the 103rd pick overall. That's actually worth 33 points. If you did that, you would. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. That's not right. It would be. Sorry, it's 110 points. Why am I wrong? I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. 110 points is worth the 52nd pick in the 2nd round. That makes a lot more sense. So New England would have to give up the 34th. That's way too much. Could give up the third round, which is 73.
I think this is getting complicated. I'm just gonna stick and pick here. I think Denver might. I think the Chargers might get stuck here.
I'll tell you what. I will give you the 11th pick, my third rounder, which is 68, and my fourth rounder, which is 103, and that actually works out.
Okay, I would do that. I think I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. So we're making a trade here with the New England Patriots, and the Patriots are giving
your job. Yeah.
Patriots are giving you 11, 68, and 103 for pick 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Works for me.
Done. All right, Patriots are on the clock. They are now getting their quarterback, and they're looking pretty smart right here for doing this. I believe the Patriots in this case are going to go quarterback, and I believe they're going to go JJ McCarthy. Where is he on this list? He's down where I think he should be. They're going to pick JJ McCarthy. He is going to be a Patriot. I think it's a stupid pick, but that's what I think they would do.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I mean, I guess you pick up the extra first to pass on Drake May and a third and a fourth. Is that what you give up to move back up?
And the fact of the matter is, most prognosticators have New England linked to McCarthy in that pick, even if they were to stick.
I think he's visiting there today.
Well, the Giants are furious.
Giants are up. Who's on the clock? That's me. That's me,
that would
right?
Be you. Yeah.
That is me. New York Giants are up. New York Giants are interesting here, right? So, the Giants are a mess. And I was really tempted to go quarterback with the Giants. If you look at Jeff, do you know what the betting markets have for the Giants right now? They have a wide receiver.
Receiver. Their receiver depth chart is gross.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to expect to happen here. I thought they might go offensive line because the offensive line is such a mess and go Joe Alt. But let's, for this first time through, let's go chalk. I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors for the Giants. Any qualms with that? Okay. Done. Now we are to the Titans, and that is a Nathan Ernst team.
Is there any reason to just not click the Joe Alt button here? I mean, that feels
easy. You would make Jeff very happy if you did that.
Yeah? Why is that?
I was under the influence of certain things and made a bet that I shouldn't have made, picking the Titans. Selecting the Titans are going to take Joe Alt here because like every mock draft. And then I forgot, based on my brain power, that the Titans could trade that pick. Yeah. And I would lose my bet. So,
yeah, I mean, a trade down a little bit with like maybe the Jets and still having a chance. It feels like the only other thing that's interesting here is Rome. And so I don't think you'd want to move past either the Falcons or the Bears. Would the Bears trade up here for Odunze?
I don't think they can. They only have 4 picks.
And I don't think they need to because, I mean, really the Titans need, they have Will Levis. They have their quarterback that they're, I think, trying to build with. They need to give him protection. I can't imagine them risking not getting Joe Alt in this situation. I mean, I think that's the logical.
Okay. I mean, you guys are just having way more fun with your picks, but I'll take another potential Hall of Fame type talent here, I guess.
Okay. This is this is how the draft could fall. So pick as you will. Atlanta Falcons are next up, and that is a Jeff Simmons team. Before you do that, I just want to thank Garth Knight for the super chat. It says, fellas, I can't express how much I appreciate this content. It's great to see Nate. We don't call you Nate, but we're gonna start calling you Nate just because of Garth. So thank you for that. Garth gives us another super chat for Rich Hill. Thought he used to be an Oakland A's pitcher. That is true, but this is a different Rich Hill. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Okay, we are at the Falcons. Jeff, what are you thinking?
If I was drafted, I would be super tempted to take Rome. But they've drafted so many skill guys. Every projection, including the betting markets, have them taking pass rush. They're deficient at that spot. I'll probably go chalk here and go Dallas Turner, but if I were them, Verse would be higher on my board. I will go Dallas Turner. That is the common pick.
Does
Even though
Byron Murphy enter into the discussion here for them?
he should. I don't know why he hasn't. Just every pick seems to go edge rush. I don't know if it's a Raheem Morris thing, but for me, Byron Murphy's a better prospect than Dallas Turner. Like, I would pick Byron Murphy every time over Dallas Turner.
See, this is, I mean, I don't know, like, some teams have, like, athletic profiles, and some teams are being closely linked, like, with the JJ McCarthy thing, but I do like the idea of doing this, not, because obviously I don't know a ton about these other teams, but just having, like, making it harder to draft for the Seahawks, where, you know, we look to match for what the team needs, but for the players that we prefer. So, like, a lot of times you can trade down and get Byron Murphy in the 20s, but I'm kind of with you guys that it seems crazy that he'd get out of the top, 15 or so. So I don't know if that's something that we want to consider for the Falcons.
Let's see how quickly we get through this. Like, if we want to also wind it down to a one round and go through a bunch of different scenarios, we can do that too. So, like, let's see how it plays out. But for this first time through, let's keep going the way we've been going, which is, what do we think is going to happen most likely? And to your point, the Falcons, I was looking at this allocation of draft capital chart, and so the Falcons, well, they have a new GM, don't they?
Not a new GM. He's been there the last few years, but it's been all skill guys.
Oh, it's Terry Fontenot.
Yeah. They have a new coach.
They spent a ton relative to other teams on running back. They definitely only running back and tight end, obviously.
Pitts and
then it goes defensive line, which in this includes defensive end. They don't separate out end from tackle, which is unfortunate. So it does feel appropriate that they would go edge in this pick.
Every mock has them taking Dallas Turner. I don't know why him versus Verse.
He's a better athlete.
He's
a better athlete.
He is a better athlete.
Sure.
And apparently Raheem Morris's defense dropped defensive ends a lot, and he dropped far more than any of those other three.
Yeah. So is we doing with Dallas Turner?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it, but that's what I think they would do.
Okay. Now we are back to the Bears and Nathan Ernst. I mean, if this happens, this feels like a little bit ideal, right? For the Bears to have got their quarterback, and now they've got some serious talent available there for them.
I would take Rome, give Caleb Williams another option here and a weapon. I think he's by far the best player left here too. So that's the way I'd go.
Okay. Before I click it, I'm going to click it in a second, but just so folks know, the consensus mock draft pick here is Jared Verse. Interestingly, so
is it really? I was the ones that we're looking at. It looked like Rome was a pretty standard pick for them.
The consensus here is Rome goes at 6 to the Giants, as opposed to Malik Neighbors, is who I picked. But
I see Rome a lot in this spot.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm just telling you, I'm looking at this this consensus of all the mock drafts, which is debatable how helpful that is. All right, now we're to 10 and the New York Jets, and I believe that is
me as
also
well.
a Nathan team.
Yeah, so this is tough. The top receivers are gone, and then I don't know if they necessarily need an edge or something like that. But there are some tackles left on the board.
Do you want to know what is the consensus pick here?
Yeah, actually, I'd be interested.
Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
Brock Bowers to give Aaron Rodgers a tight end.
So this is the debate they have. They're kind of all in for 1 year. And so that philosophy is like, take Brock Bowers. But they signed a lot of offensive linemen this offseason. Both of them are in their mid-30s and that had injury issues. So this is the kind of debate that's been going on with the Jets. Do they take the thing they need now, and do they need Is it smart to take a tight end in the first round? Probably not. Or do they take an offensive lineman essentially as insurance, but their window is out of with Aaron Rodgers? It's this weird. So their pick is one of the more fascinating spots of the draft because they could justify a lot of different things.
So here's the thing. I think Fuaga and Fontenot are going to be very good guards, but I don't love them as tackles, and I don't know if that they need a guard. I think Mims or JC Latham would be the next one, the tackles here, but the 10 feels just a little high for either of them to me. Can I do something super crazy? Can I do a weird? I know we're trying to like stick to what we think the team.
Yeah. Of course, you're not allowed to have fun, Nathan. No, don't do anything fun.
Why don't you wander over to the wide receivers?
Okay.
And draft Adonai Mitchell for me.
You got it.
That would be awesome.
I love it. So this just comes out of nowhere, and this means.
But I don't think it's stupid, right? I mean, it's a huge surprise, but I don't like the dude is 6'2", runs a 4.3, super productive. Like,
yeah.
20. Mike Williams kind of makes sense as a hedge for Mike Williams.
Yeah, they've got. I mean, who are their receivers now? They've got
Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams.
Mike Williams, and they have one other. I thought, besides Garrett Wilson, but anyway,
everywhere that I see has
Lazard.
They have wide receiver as the number one need for them.
Yeah, it makes perfect. It makes a lot of sense. Gosh, Garth Knight is being very generous. Another super chat, fellas. Penix is the best talent at QB in the draft. He's discriminated against as a lefty. Yes, as a fellow lefty, I agree. With his injury history, and sadly, it's rightly so. Someone's going to hit the lotto ticket, though. His name has not been called yet. But here we are with the Denver Broncos. Here we are with the Denver Broncos.
No, the Chargers first.
Oh, never mind. The Chargers. I got too excited. Jeff is on the clock with the Chargers. And they traded back with the Patriots to get this pick. What are you going to do, Jeff?
I don't know if you saw Jim Harbaugh's kind of rant or speech about offensive line. It's very clear how he views the world. It's very clear the kind of players he took in San Francisco and Michigan. Taliese Fuaga is sitting on the board, the most physical offensive lineman in the draft. I think Harbaugh would love that pick at 11. So I'm going to go with him.
Interesting. Yes. It is the consensus for folks who are curious. The consensus is the Chargers picking at 5, obviously, and they have them picking Malik Neighbors, a receiver. So, sorry. Yes, they have them picking a receiver. So here we are with Jeff picking Taliese Fuaga. I will say I saw some of his combine pictures, and not the most appealing body type, I guess. But then again, I was really a big fan of watching T'Vondre Sweat. So who knows? Now we're to the Broncos. And I get to choose for the Broncos. And this one's a really interesting one. I want to hear from you guys on this. The consensus is that Bo Nix is the pick here. That is the consensus. There's also, I think, some folks that think Michael Penix is a real option here. Then you could go, I mean, the Broncos have a lot of different needs. They really just quarterback-wise are messed up, and they don't have another pick. So if they don't get quarterback here, they're basically not going to get their QB unless one of these guys falls all the way to the second round. And if you really like a quarterback, I just don't see how you just say, well, we're just going to hope that they fall to us in the second round or third round or whatever it is that they have their next pick. So for me, I am buying the notion that I think they're going to go with Michael Penix. I think Michael Penix is going to be someone that impresses Sean Payton more than Bo Nix, even though everyone compares Bo Nix to Drew Brees lately, which I think is crazy. So I'm a Michael Penix guy here. You guys tell me if that's absolutely nuts, like no chance. Stop the draft.
The argument I was going to make is that maybe Sean Payton tries to go back to his Jimmy Graham days and picks up Brock Bowers. But if without another pick in the draft, or at least as far as we're picking, I think you're right. I think they just got to get their quarterback.
And most mock drafts have either quarterback or Bowers there. So you're right on, Nathan. That's exactly who gets picked to them all the time.
You got to think that they would be pretty aggressively trying to trade back, but I don't know if anyone wants Bowers badly enough or a tackle maybe.
Yeah.
And the Raiders would just be crushed here, I think.
Well, that's part of why I'm doing this. Is it's a non-chalk pick, but I think this is an upset potential. I think that they might sneak their division rival and take Michael Penix away from the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, I'm going with Michael Penix there to the Broncos. The Las Vegas Raiders are up, and that is a Nathan Ernst selection. It's getting real. I mean, look at all these guys available here.
Yeah. I think
I will tell you the consensus, by the way, is Michael Penix here for the Raiders.
Yeah, Penix is off the board. They have more picks. I wonder if they're not interested in Rattler as a fallback option if something like this were to happen. And Nix is still floating out there. So I'm kind of thinking like, okay, who are the more blue chippers? Quinion Mitchell, Byron Murphy. I've played around with JT Latham here.
He fits.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. That feels Raidery.
Can I ask you one question? I'll make this pick for you in a second. Do you think that Byron Murphy is an option here?
They spent $25 million a year on Christian Wilkins, or $27 million a year.
Who's your other interior lineman?
Don't know. I think corner is probably. I think corner. I think corner. They're pretty weak. I don't know. I think corner or O line. So Latham does feel very Raider.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know their corner situation. I think Mitchell is like generally considered one of the better players.
Yes.
Here, right? I think Latham is a bit of a reach. So maybe let's just go Mitchell here.
You're gonna go Mitchell?
Yep.
I think either of those were fine though.
Okay. To the comment to Larry in the chat, no, I did not say Rattler at 13. I was talking about Rattler as a fallback option in a later round, like the third round or something.
Okay. The New Orleans Saints are up, and that is a Jeff Simmons pick.
Okay. So they need a tackle really bad. They missed on Trevor Penning, and Ryan Ramczyk might not play. If I'm thinking what the Saints are going to do, I think it's going to be Olu Fashanu here, not Fatanu. I think they're going to take the pure left tackle.
I like that pick, and the only issue I'm hearing with Fashanu is just not a great run blocker, but he's the best pure pass protector in this class, like by most evaluators. And so and this guy used to be a top 10 regularly mocked guy. He's kind of fallen off a little bit because of the run blocking stuff.
Then you can kick Penning to right tackle, who is a run blocker.
Yeah.
It kind of sets them up a little bit.
Makes sense.
The knee braces on Olu. Does anyone know that story? I tried to figure it out, and everyone was just complaining about the knee braces, but I didn't know why. He wears massive knee braces on each leg. It's kind of terrifying, but I don't see any injury history. Anyways, who's got the Colts?
I believe I have the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts news, like a little bit of news, if people didn't pay attention. Mr. DeForest Buckner was signed to an extension. Was it today? I think it was today. And that's pretty meaningful news because there was a lot of reason to think Byron Murphy might be a pick here because Buckner was entering the last year of his deal. They already have, what is it? Grover. What's the other guy that they've got? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They got another interior defensive lineman already. I don't think now that the interior defensive line is a likely pick for them. I actually think that corner is a need, but they seem to not. Like they have a lot of young corners that they drafted. What were you going to say, Jeff?
So I follow a lot of Colts. Some of my buddies here are Colts fans, and the thing that makes them very frustrated, they're running the Gus Bradley like Seattle cover 3 defense that everyone's basically shifted away from, and their corners are just like guys off the street. And with Gus, they don't seem to value them at all. It's just like we can put anyone in there, and why are we going to spend a high pick for them to just zone drop? And it drives their fans nuts.
Brian,
So,
would you be interested in a trade?
For where at?
Say the Eagles.
Ooh.
Interesting. I don't think I would be. I mean, if you have something that you want to bowl me over with, I
would do the 22 and what do they have? 53? 51?
22 and 53 to move up to 15. I think that's a logical move. I'm going to say no because I've got my eyes fixed on a player that I think is just a great value here and a great pick for what the Colts need. It's not what they're saying their needs are, but I think Terrion Arnold is I think he could be the best corner in this class. And to get him at 15, I think elevates, and he's a bigger corner. So I think he's a just guy that could really upgrade that Indianapolis defense. For what it's worth, the consensus is Kenyon Mitchell going to the Colts. So this isn't crazy to pick a different corner since he was snaked a couple picks earlier by Nathan to the Raiders. So I'm going to go with Terrion Arnold. Any concerns there? Okay.
No. Some people think that Bowers there, but
fair. I mean, Bowers is
corner. Yeah.
Bowers has got such a scary pick to make, right? Like in some ways he looks like an all-time tight end. The other way, like there's been a lot of guys that look like all-time tight ends, never worked out in the first round. So
yeah,
it's a tough position to gamble on.
Man, Nathan ended up in an interesting spot here.
Nathan's going to do something and it's going to piss me off. I know it. He's going to do something crazy. What are you going to do, Nathan? I mean,
Brock Bowers. No.
You can do it if you want.
No, I don't. Well, so okay.
They got to be thinking trade back here, don't they? With
yeah.
all these guys left.
We got John Schneider, 15 minutes. I'm taking every second of it. So yeah, who wants to offer me some trades? Do the Patriots want to come back up?
Well, what about who are you going to move up with Philadelphia for?
Bowers.
Ooh.
So why not that here?
Well, one, I don't know how realistic it really was that they want to do that, and also I didn't know if you were going to take Bowers, the Colts would take him. Let's try to trade up and get up in front of, I don't know, maybe the Bengals.
I mean, Bowers would make some sense for the Colts given their young quarterback and giving him the best target they can, but he's available. I guess I look at it for the Seahawks, and you've got Verse, Fautanu, Murphy, all available. You've still got Graham Barton back here, depending on how they feel about him. Latu, if you like him. Johnny Newton, which I can never just say his name without commenting I'm not a fan. But anyway, Johnny Newton. Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
He is coming for a visit.
I desperately want to trade back here. I mean, I will take...
How far you want to look?
I mean, anywhere from 19 to 24 would probably be good. So I'm thinking like, Rams, Dolphins, Eagles, and Cowboys all have some.
Well, let's think together as a group here. Who are the teams that are going to be looking at this and saying, holy shit, I got to get up there for Brock Bowers? You could get something from
Bengals,
Cincinnati, the Bengals. Yeah. Like you could move. I don't know if that'd be exciting enough.
Would the Pats want to go get Bowers? Match him up with JJ McCarthy, give them an offensive weapon?
It's possible. They have
I guess
tight ends in the past.
I'm wondering about I'm wondering about either edge or interior offensive line. If someone's looking at,
I think Pittsburgh would love Fatanu.
that's what I'm wondering about. Pittsburgh and Miami are two teams that I'm wondering about whether they would want to trade up.
All right. Pittsburgh is Jeff and Miami is you, Brian, right?
Yes. I will get this out of your way. I'll put it onto my own screen so you guys don't have to look at it. Because I did do this for Pittsburgh before. So Pittsburgh, what would that be?
Does Pittsburgh ever trade up or back?
Not
they
usually.
traded up for Devin Bush a couple years ago. That was like 20 to 10.
Worked out good.
They clearly learned their lesson and trade up again.
I just want to give you some idea of what you could get. I won't take too long on this. I know it's kind of boring for folks, but I'm kind of curious.
20 to 16 cost a fourth.
So Pittsburgh, yeah. Pittsburgh has like the 84th pick in the third round. I think that's I think it would be the 98th pick in the third round. So 2 third round picks. It'd be their second third round pick.
All right. So let's make that offer.
You want to do that?
No, I'm not passing on. I'm not passing on Verse for anything lower than, I don't know, their current than 81, I guess. I mean,
the Dolphins, this is where it's tough, guys. The Dolphins, as another option, they are not a good trade partner. They've got a 1 and a 2, and they're not going to give that up. And then they don't have a third round pick or a fourth round pick. So you'd have to be swapping multiple picks for that. And I think what ends up happening is you don't actually gain an extra pick in the top 100. I think you'd end up just moving one of your third round picks probably up to the second round. I don't think the Seahawks would do that either.
What can the Bengals offer?
The Bengals, I had this one as well. Actually, I didn't look at this one. I looked at the Rams were the first one I looked at. So the Bengals have, it's only a 2-pick slide. So that's roughly 20 points. Roughly 20 points, which is worth like a late fourth round pick. They've got pick 115, which is worth 26. So they could pick 115, fourth round pick, and 18 to move back 2 spots. I actually don't think that's that stupid of a move. Seahawks could still get one of like a really good player.
Who is Dallas? Am I Dallas?
Who's Dallas? I am Dallas, but feel free to suggest.
Would Dallas offer their first and second to get Fatanu?
This is the interesting thing, because I think this is where, like, guys, I know we're spending a little time here, but this is Seahawks. We're going to spend a little time here. I think if you look at John Schneider's tendencies, he has not valued taking interior offensive line early in drafts. And so if there's teams that are thinking, oh my God, the Seahawks are going to snake the interior offensive lineman of my dreams, that's the teams that I think the Seahawks, or the offensive linemen in general, that's the teams that I think will maybe overpay. Dallas is a good example of that, Jeff. I think they could come up. Go ahead, Nathan, what you're going to say.
Well, I was just going to say, I think like teams are going to be looking to trade with Seattle to get in front of other teams that might take that interior lineman, right? Not because they think Seattle will take them so much.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I think, yes, I think they might be able to hold out a little bit, saying like, well, obviously we need that kind of position player as well. We're not just going to give it away. So the Cowboys have, to your point, Jeff, they have the 24th pick and the 56th pick in the second round. For the Seahawks to get the second round pick, they would have to also, Seattle would have to give up they'd have to give up 30 points in value, which is one of their fourth round picks. They'd have to give up their first round pick, 102.
Jerry Jones doesn't use the trade shirts.
But I think that's a realistic move. Seahawks give away 16 and 102 and they get 24 and 56.
If I'll do that, yeah.
Ooh.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we're gonna make a trade. We're gonna make a trade with the Cowboys. We're gonna give up 24 and 56. We're gonna get back 16 and 102. Okay.
Cool.
I
Done.
think that's realistic.
So that puts the Cowboys on the clock. That's me. We moved up to get an offensive lineman, right?
Yep.
They take Powers.
Now the question is, do they go for Latham? Like they could go, they go Amarius Mims. Like a Mims feels like a Cowboy pick to me.
Yeah.
Or do they go Troy Fautanu? What do you guys think?
I think Fautanu or Mims.
Nathan, you have a thought?
I agree. Patron or Mims.
Okay.
I don't know their deal much though. Do they need a guard, or do they want to tackle?
They lost Tyron Smith.
They missed it. Yeah.
They haven't replaced him. So either they kick someone out and they need a guard, or they need a left tackle.
I think Mims profiles more clearly as a tackle. And
Yep.
so I'm going to go Mims. I think he seems like the upside, massive kind of Cowboy offensive lineman. So I'm going to go Mims to the Cowboys there at 16. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock now. That is a Jeff Simmons pick.
Ooh, there's a lot of guys here. I don't think they need a tight end. I think they have Ingram at tight end. They need a corner, but it's going to be hard to not take Byron Murphy here. I know they signed Armstead. I'm going to take Byron Murphy. I think the value is just too good at this point.
Okay. Byron Murphy is off the board. The Bengals are up, and that is me. So the Bengals, they're sitting pretty. I think Brock Bowers, they run the card up there. I think that's a great pick. I mean, they need offensive line help as well. So I could make the case for Fautanu. I could make the case for Latham. They signed, I mean, technically they signed, who was the Patriots tackle? The big dude, Trent.
Oh yeah. Trent Williams.
No, Trent, someone
Trent.
else.
Brown.
Trent.
Yes.
Brown. Yeah.
I had to look that up. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys think I'm crazy that like they'd just be like Brock Bowers with, or do you think they would say we need to go offensive line, we need to get a tackle?
I think their fans will go insane if they pass on Fontenot, but
you think so?
But they've been driving their fans insane with how they've handled the offensive line for years now. So
the consensus pick to them is JC Latham.
I feel like they would fall for the Bowers thing though. That just seems so Bengals.
I just, like to not have a chance to match him up with,
especially like T. Higgins is going to be out of there after a year, and to get in a cost-effective pass catcher,
and that there's other guys that they can pick at tackle later. This is a deep tackle draft. Now they're not as elite; they're not going to get, but maybe they can get someone a little bit later. Let me just double check, if you don't mind. I want to look to see what picks they have, so I can realize how much is riding on this.
It's in the top corner here.
They have 18, 49, 80.
Oh, thank you.
Lots of
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead with Brock Bowers. That's just too much value. Similar reason as what Jeff said. All right. The LA Rams are on the clock. That is a Jeff Simmons selection.
Oh, God. This is awful. Ugh.
Didn't they just lose a guard in free agency?
No, they signed two. They re-signed.
They
re-signed whatever they got from the Steelers, and then they signed Jonah Jackson from the Lions.
It's going to make me sick if Jared Verse ends up on the Rams. But the Rams want to keep a local pass rusher in LA. So they're going to go with Latu, who's the flashier guy. Get him with Byron Young. Keep him in LA.
I think that makes sense. I think that fits them a lot better than Verse. Yeah, I think you could make a case for Fontenot, but I don't think he really profiles as a left tackle.
They've invested so many resources there, and
their
defense.
Interesting. I think that makes sense.
I've seen a lot of them tied with Latu, but man, if they got first, I'd be nervous.
They yes, the consensus pick to them is Latu.
Yeah.
So you're on it there. The Pittsburgh Steelers are up. That is also a Jeff Simmons team.
So we're celebrating because we were trying to trade up for this guy. We had him in for a visit, Troy Fatanu. Turning the card, no talk.
Yeah, 100%. Makes perfect. He seems like a Steeler to me too.
I'd be so annoyed. Just like they can sit at 20.
All right, Miami Dolphins are on the clock. They are me. I am them. Dolphins. What are we thinking here?
We're starting to see a lot more Cody Barton here.
Graham Barton.
Graham Barton, sorry. It says their needs here are tight end, O-line, defensive interior.
Yeah, the one thing
Johnny Newton.
That's where I'm thinking.
They
like
lost Christian Wilkins.
They lost Christian Wilkins. Their defense, they're not losing because of their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that interior, like Graham Barton is the consensus pick to them here. So, I mean, I'm not just picking these guys. Like, I honestly think Johnny Newton fits what the Dolphins are looking for as like a disruptive interior pass rusher. And I think they are potentially really excited that he's here.
They're going to take him over Verse, though?
It's a fair question.
Yeah, first.
Who are their edges? Can we look real quick who their edges are?
I think they both got injured last year, if I remember.
I'm just gonna look real quick. Give me 1 second. Miami Dolphins defense, edge rushers. So they got Andrew Van Ginkel. Is he still there, or did he sign elsewhere?
No. So they have
Bradley
Chubb.
Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. They're both got injured last year.
But those guys are
good. They're both.
They're good. I don't think that's like a key need as much.
They don't have much up front.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, the choice is Johnny Newton or Graham Barton.
I think Barton or Newton, I think, would go here.
I'm going to go with Newton. I think I have an instinct. We'll see if, this a lot rides on these choices, so it matters. But I put enough thought into it.
Shared verse.
Oh,
these are rushing to the podium.
Of course, that's what happened.
That's not crazy.
No, and then everyone would say Howie Roseman is the smartest man alive.
Yeah,
that's so real.
Yes. Okay. So then the Patriots are back on the clock. This is me. The Patriots have drafted their quarterback in JJ McCarthy. They're sitting here at 23. Do they get JC Latham here as like a tackle to help protect their new quarterback?
He does fit what they've liked from right tackles too. Like they like those big burly dudes. I feel like
done
tackles.
Done. JC
Right.
Latham's gone. So now, Nathan, you are up with the Seattle Seahawks at 24. I mean, Brian Thomas is still sitting there, which is a little crazy. I mean, Chop Robinson, depending on how people like him. Cooper DeJean. Jackson Powers Johnson, Graham Barton. Any particular position you want to look at?
I mean, talk me out of Chop Robinson here.
I think it's a likely choice for the Seahawks. I could absolutely see them having Graham Barton on the clock and pick Chop Robinson instead.
I think Chop is well on their list of trade down options.
Yeah, I mean, 21, crazy athletic, no sacks, but ton of pressures. They used him in the stupidest ways. Like they would line him up as like the end in a 3-4, and he would still like make an impact. I struggle not thinking that he's better than Latu and Verse. So I'm gonna take Chop Robinson here.
Okay.
That's the debate they're going to have to make when they're on the clock. Do they pass all those guys to get Chop in that second rounder? And if you think they're right there, Nathan, that's a home run trade.
I do have to tell you, I think Cooper DeJean's a real option there. I really do. I'm not saying it's the most likely, but I think people are wishing it away. I think it could make a lot of sense for them to go that direction. All right, 25 is the Green Bay Packers. That is Nathan as well.
Graham Barton.
Graham Barton. This would be ideal for the Packers. They would be thrilled.
And that would just eat it, Brian, if they had that tantalizing decision.
It absolutely would. Tampa Bay is on the clock. That is a Jeff team.
Look at all those needs. I'm just going to go value here. I'm going to take Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
I think he's just been here for too long.
I think it's a great pick. Being available. Arizona Cardinals. Nathan.
So I took Maserati Marv in with their first pick, right? Who are the offensive linemen that are still alive?
You look tackle or interior?
Tackle, I guess, yeah. And what are the guards?
Guards. Actually, I can show both.
Oh, yeah, we can show both. Yeah,
Right.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, JPJ could make some sense. Tyler Guyton's a pretty interesting guy to still be available here.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot because can we see defense line and corner too here?
Yeah, they probably need that more than.
Do you want edge as well?
Let's start with actually, let's just look at it all.
Line and corner. Here you go.
Okay. They have Sanders still really high.
Do you think that they could be a team that like upsets and takes like Braden Fisk?
Yes.
At this point,
This could be a total wild card pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other wild card that I was thinking of is Kingsley Suamatio. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Right
here, the tackle out of BYU.
Yep. Ruke Aurora.
I don't think.
know.
Nealon.
Yeah. Let's get weird and do Marshawn Nealon.
Oh yeah, I think that's. By the way, that was another guy I thought the Seahawks might pick, but Chop Robinson I think would be above him on their board.
Yeah, but I like Nealon
very
a lot.
Arizona. Yeah.
Okay, the Bills are up, and
That's
the
me.
Bills. Are you again, Nathan?
All right.
Oh.
We are probably going to have to go chalk on this and look at a receiver. Brian Thomas going a couple picks ago is probably something that we would have looked to avoid in a trade if we were thinking ahead. Who's missing? Somebody's missing. I don't see. Leggett is down below.
Yeah, where's Leggett?
Worthy is down.
Yeah, they have Worthy way down. Wow.
Interesting. And Malachi Corley. Let's what do you guys think here? Because none of these guys are like maybe.
If I'm the Bills, I'm running Lad McConkey to the he's a like route runner. Let's think about how Stefan Diggs was so productive there as a great route runner. I think of Lad McConkey as not Stefan Diggs, but just a great route running receiver. I mean, that's who I would throw in there.
Okay, that was my thought too. Let's do it.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with that.
Garth Knight with another super chat. Thank you. I thought Howie Roseman was the smartest GM alive prior to the collapse at the end of 23. Where's Evan, by the way? Evan was always Nate's 180. Evan is probably playing pickleball somewhere. We don't do mock draft stuff with Evan because he gets too bored too fast. Like he'll be there the night of giving us absolute drama with whatever the Seahawks do. Lions are up. The Detroit Lions are a Jeff Simmons team.
I think they're gonna go. Is there any edge left? Who do we have at edge?
Darius Robinson.
This
maybe.
Could be the Darius Robinson spot. Will they go Cooper DeJean?
Yeah,
they could. They definitely.
That feels right.
Like the linebacker they took last year.
What about Nate Wiggins?
No, that doesn't feel Dan Campbell. He's small.
Yeah, too small. TJ Tampa's also moved up the board quite a bit.
I want to go
No.
Cooper DeJean. That seems Dan Campbell, like fist pumping the wall. Like,
Seems exactly like the linebacker they took. Who was that last year?
well, the white linebacker.
Jack Campbell.
Campbell.
Yes.
Who was good? They were right about him.
Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. And of course, I am their GM because I'm the most wise and capable GM amongst us. And that's how I end up in Baltimore. And usually Baltimore would have some unreal player fall to them. And everyone's just like, oh, yeah, that's a Baltimore pick. So the Ravens, I still don't feel like they've got enough weapons. Like, I still feel like they're missing a weapon. And Zay Flowers was too often the only guy there. Are there any of these receivers? I don't know, like Ricky Pearsall. I like Ricky Pearsall better than these other two. I don't think.
Would they take Worthy? No, it's kind of
Worthy does seem like
Worthy.
a guy. They love those.
They like the speedy guys.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think it feels like too much of a reach up here, and they're just not a reach team.
What about Keon Coleman?
Keon Coleman's an interesting name. I want to look real quick at that list of what does Baltimore spend their draft capital on. Wide receiver. Wide receiver is where they spend like the majority of their draft capital relative to other teams. Actually, defensive line is the other piece.
Is that the Darius Robinson pick? Like that seems very.
That actually makes a lot of sense, Jeff.
Yeah, seems very Baltimore.
He doesn't fit the 3-4 that well though. So I'm not sure where he fits. He's 280. Wait a second. Do they have a cornerback as a need?
Yeah, I mean it's listed here. I don't know what they're.
I'm going with a surprise pick here. I'm going Mike Sainristil. I think Mike Sainristil is a very Baltimore pick. I think he was the best player on that Michigan defense. I think nickel corner was one of their weak spots last year, and I think he's better than these other players.
There's a Harbaugh connection.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going Mike Sainristil. A lot of people have him going in like the 3rd round, so this is a bit of an upset. But I think he would be a good fit for Baltimore. All right, the 49ers are on the clock. That is me, right?
Yep.
49ers have got to be looking for a tackle. How do we feel about Tyler Guyton? I mean, big dude, young dude. They got to be looking wide receiver potentially if Ayuk is on the move. I just don't think any of these receivers. I don't see any of these guys being.
I think they could take 163.
Yeah, I just don't think any of them make sense.
I think it's got to be a tackle.
Let's just take a look.
Worked out Rosengarten the other day, but this seems high for him.
A lot of people have had him going here. That's true, and he's well down the list here. I
like Guyton better. I think he's sturdier.
All right, let's do it. Let's go with Guyton. And that leaves the Chiefs on the clock. And that is Jeff Simmons.
I'm the Chiefs?
You're the Chiefs.
Okay, so I think they got to go receiver, especially with Rashee Rice's future in a bit of doubt. Pull up the receiver list for me. They signed Hollywood Brown, who's kind of like Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Leggett would be really interesting here.
I mean, they just like pure speed, right? Like,
yeah, they
Pearsall would fit with their drops crew.
It would be. I think we got to go Worthy here. I think that's their kind of guy. They had trouble stretching the field last year. They were slow. So do we want to go round 2 or do we want to start round 1 again?
I was just thinking that let's pick for the Panthers at least.
I did trade into round 2. It'd be cool to pick for them.
Oh, yeah.
Who did you trade in for?
Like
Seahawks.
50, the Seahawks.
Yeah, we have to get to the Seahawks pick.
Okay, let's go rapid fire here. Let's help each other make these. Okay, so Panthers.
They're definitely receiver, yeah.
And let's do something dumb for the Panthers, like trade. I mean, Xavier Leggett is not a dumb pick, but let's say they're going to take him because Carolina.
He does feel like a Carolina receiver. I'm okay with that. Patriots. I am the Patriots.
I think
They've
you
got-
went quarterback and tackle. I think
Yeah, you took Latham.
Right.
Latham McCarthy. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'll take an average receiver to add to the trio.
I think they. Where's Edge? They're getting. I'm gonna go Darius Robinson here. Any issues with that?
Nope.
Okay. Cardinals are on the clock.
Give him Kool-Aid.
Yeah, makes sense. Commanders are on the clock. This is you, Jeff. You have primary say, but we'll help you out here.
Is there any tackles?
Offensive tackle, Jordan Morgan.
Let's go Jordan Morgan.
Okay. Chargers are on the
I
clock.
think that's me again. We got to
That
go
is you
receiver
again.
here. We took tackle. Let's go Pearsall here.
Okay. Pearsall goes to the Chargers. The Titans.
Titans want a receiver, so let's keep that train going. Let's do Tony Franklin. Is that his name?
Troy Franklin.
Troy Franklin.
I want you to get on stage, say Tony Franklin. That'd be very fun.
Back up for the Panthers.
Panthers. I mean, the Panthers, did they already
JPJ.
take a corner? Because if not, they got to take Wiggins, don't they?
Let's do JPJ.
JPJ.
I'm a center. Really solidify that line for them.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Back up here.
Commanders again.
It's the sweat pick. So we gave them what Dan Quinn's probably wants some defense here. Go to
Commanders have taken Jaden Daniels so far.
Jordan Morgan.
Yes, and Jordan Morgan.
All right, so we probably need some defense. Give me a D lineman.
Okay. Fisk has a little bit of Bennett to him, you know. I'm thinking back to
Or I can see like or Horoho.
or Chris Jenkins, or
Where are they on the edge? Anyone on the edge that's interesting?
they could also go Michael Hall Jr.
Yeah.
Piss me off.
They lost Sweat and Young last year. They don't have much on the edge. So
That's right. That's right. I just don't like Braswell that much. I think this is too high for him.
yeah, there's not much here.
I mean, Austin Booker, I do like, but
I think this is rich for him.
it is rich for him.
Let's go with Michael Hall Jr.
All right, you bastard. I don't like you anymore, Jeff.
Dan Quinn, I'm sorry.
I know he's gonna snake good defensive lineman. That's what he does.
That's why I did it.
All
Roll
right.
down a little here for the Packers.
Packers.
What
What about Devon Bullard? He seems like a Packer secondary guy.
Who'd they take in the last round? Barton? No, they took Barton.
Yeah, Graham Barton.
Jaden Hicks, another safety.
Go Roger Rosengarten from them.
Oh, interesting. All right. Where is he? He's way down here.
We'll double up on OL for them.
There he's way down on their list. Okay.
Okay.
The Texans are up. I've got the Texans. Who have we got for the Texans so far?
This is their first pick.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wild. All right. Texans. I think let me just double check here. How big is Wiggins? He's
Yeah, he's probably slipped way too far.
Yeah,
he's way too far. So I think they're thrilled to draft Nate Wiggins.
All right. I think it's me for the Falcons. Let's go TJ Tampa, the corner.
Interesting. Raiders. That is a Nathan pick.
I don't remember what I did for them in the first round.
I'll get it for you. You
I got a
took
corner.
Kenyon Mitchell, corner,
Yeah.
and then that's all they had, right?
Oh, Bo Nix. Look at that. That's amazing for them.
Yeah. Look at that. The Saints are up.
I think it's me. I took Olu Fashanu.
Yep.
Let's go with Fisky here. Seems like someone they would like.
Done. Colts are up. That's me. Who did we get for the Colts so far?
It was the corner.
We got Terrion Arnold.
Yep.
Is that it? They had any other picks?
Just them.
So they got corner. Where are they at on safety?
It says they need DB, so I'm guessing that needs safety.
Let me just check.
Yeah, not even
thing.
corner or safety, but DB.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
I also am just wondering about helping out Mr. Richardson coming back. Like, did they go tight end with like Jadavian Sanders?
Okay.
Not possible. Let's just take a quick look at receiver.
Roman Wilson. He's a mystery type, right?
I mean, Richardson's a deep guy, so I just wonder. I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to pick
John Coleman, maybe? He's kind of a big bodied, kind of, go up, get some balls, stretch the field a little bit. He's not fast, but
I was thinking about one of the Washington guys. Like who's the I don't know, is Burton a speedster?
Yeah, he's very fast.
Yeah, I'm going to take Burton. I think that's the profile that would make more sense for Richardson. I don't think he's the best receiver of that group, but that's who I think would make sense. All right, the Giants are on the clock. That is me as well.
First round.
Took Malik Neighbors in the first. I need everything. What do you guys think? Do you think they would go safety here?
They probably just go BPA, right? Like,
yeah, they literally need everything.
They need linemen. So I feel like, I mean, Zach Frazier. They just drafted John Michael Schmitz. That's not going to do that.
Generally,
I think they go here. I think they go with Kingsley Suamatia. I think that's a great value for them at this point, and they need tackles. So done. Actually, I thought about Patrick Paul, but let's stick with him. Jacksonville is up. That is a Jeff
so it seems
pick.
like they need guard and center. So Zach Frazier staring at me in the face. We'll go with Zach Frazier.
Done. Bengals are up. I took Brock Bowers for them, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they really need. I mean, let's look at tackles and let's look at.
Oh, Rook's right there.
Yeah, Rook's an interesting choice. I wonder about Chris Jenkins for them. Could they? They're a Tavondre Sweat team too. They've been looking a lot at nose tackles. I just feel like it's early right now, given the way things are going with Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
But they could snake him. I don't think any of these tackles, like offensive tackles, are. I mean, maybe Patrick Paul, but I don't know that any of these guys are worth
Bengals
taking.
usually just take like the highest guy on the consensus list. It's like,
Yeah,
they have like 4 scouts. Like apparently that's what they always do.
So I'm going to go with Chris Jenkins here. That puts the Eagles up. That is a Nathan team.
Ah, yes. Junior Colson, please.
You bastard. Okay. So the Eagles have come out with
Verse and Colson.
Verse and Colson. That is such a freaking Eagles draft. God dang it. Okay.
I like drafting for the Eagles.
I know you do. Ugh, it's frustrating. All right. Steelers are up. This is a Jeff team.
Who did I take for them last round?
Yeah.
Yeah. I took.
Not now?
Oh, yeah, it was. Okay, I'm going to take Roman Wilson here. They need a receiver.
Okay. Rams are up.
That was me as well. I gave them Latu.
And Ricky Pearsall. No, sorry, that was the Chargers. Never mind. Ignore me.
I gave them Latu. They need corners. They need linebackers. Any corners?
Corners, linebackers.
Let's go Edge Cooper here.
Let's put him next to Ernest Jones.
Yeah.
Eagles are up again.
Can I just see the actually
Jeff, mute next time.
No.
Yeah, keep making all that noise.
I see the full list really quick. Is this the full list? Okay,
This is the full list.
Well, I think it's between Peyton Wilson and let's go Bullard, just because I know it'll piss you off.
Bullard, Javon Bullard.
Yep.
Done. I think that's a very Eagles pick.
Yep.
Browns. They said defensive interior. Like, Rook's an interesting pick for them here. Dorless would be an interesting pick for them here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is me. What do you guys think?
You
think they go Rook? Is this too early for him?
Either that or Peyton Wilson, right?
No, it's his exact ranking.
I am going to go. I'm going to go Rook. Dolphins are up. That is also me.
Yep.
You guys
Johnny
were waiting
Newton.
for me. Sorry, say that again.
You gave them Johnny Newton.
Johnny Newton.
So it's probably O-line.
O-line would make sense. I got to tell you where my immediate mind goes is I think they could do something surprising and like go for Theo Johnson or like one of the like toolsy tight ends. Does make some sense for them to take an offensive lineman. Do they need guard?
I think so. They lost what the guy Carolina gave $20 million a year to.
That's right, Robert Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go ahead and Christian Haynes. He's a right guard. That makes some sense. Sure. We got to your pick, Nathan. Seahawks are on the clock at 56. They gave up a shot at Byron Murphy and Fautanu and Verse.
And I think that they did it for. I think I have to go guard here, right? I see OT. Yeah, offense tackle too. So the guy that I really like actually is Blake Fisher, but I don't think he's a tackle. He's up at the top.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't think he's a guard. I mean, so let's do Christian Mahogany instead. I like him quite a bit too.
Oh my God, I'm gonna kill you. You draft him in the second round.
That you don't like it?
I don't like it. I also have to say I don't think John Schneider. Well, he has done it rarely, but I don't know if I see him taking someone in the second. But we'll see.
The other options here. I mean,
who do you see? Yeah, we have to
Peyton
go position.
Wilson.
I think that safety becomes a real option. I think that if they went edge, defensive tackle becomes an option. But yeah, I mean,
because Fisk and Rook are gone.
I could see them going safety. It just depends on whether they really like Newbin or Hicks enough to spend the second round pick on him.
Yeah, I haven't watched much of Newbin, but I'm not a big Hicks guy.
Yeah,
I don't really like Peyton Wilson either, to be honest. So I think
Mahogany
is a really good player.
This is.
Let's pause here. We've already gone an hour and 20 minutes to get to this point, which I guess it's not surprising. It's time consuming to make the pick for every single team.
Yeah.
If we scroll back, I mean, any of these things that jump out to folks is like, that's just not going to happen. Any, like, as you went through it, anything that like occurred to you that you didn't think about beforehand?
It's almost too realistic. Like, no one did anything really stupid.
Yeah.
I don't think we can get 56 picks without anything like absurd.
Yeah.
I think the more that I've done this, like I always thought it was really dumb that you could trade back like with the Eagles and still get Jared Verse, but like, and I know that we all really like Jared Verse, and look at who's sitting right there at 22. Like if you were to do that trade with the Eagles, or if you were to trade back with the Rams, like Murphy, Verse, those guys all stay alive, and Latu. So like I am more excited about the idea of trading back a little bit and actually getting one of these guys that we really covet.
I feel the opposite.
This is the scenario I keep running into.
Go on, finish what you're thinking.
Oh, for me? So this is
Yeah.
a scenario I keep running into, and why I've kind of switched my opinion. I was on the board that you had to trade down from 16 for weeks. And I keep running into this exact scenario where I'm looking at who's here at 54 or 55. Nothing jumps off to me. It's all guys I'm fine with. And the idea of losing a Verse or a Murphy, or if you think Fautanu, Faraga is the guy, but for me, it's Verse or Murphy. I think I think I'd rather just stick and pick at 16. But I think the sweet spot is trying to find that range, maybe 17 to 21. If I can get down there, maybe. But I just can't. I keep trading down. We're saying we need the second round pick. I think I'd be much happier to get that good first round pick, because I can't find much here I like. And this is where I keep getting stuck here.
Here's the thing. So let's just talk about this for a second, because we're not going to do 3 drafts. We're just not going to have time to do all that stuff. So let's just talk for a second. If the Seahawks move down from 16 and they move down 4 spots, like, who are the guys? Like Byron Murphy, Brock Bowers, Latu, and Fautanu. You could argue that all of those guys could have been Seahawks choices, right?
Yeah.
Which of those guys do you think the Seahawks would be really upset if they were gone? I think Byron Murphy.
Supposedly Murphy is the one they're most in love with, right? That's been kind of the rumors.
Yeah. So I guess the reason I'm asking is because you could make a case to say, actually, don't worry about getting your second round pick in your trade back in the first. Actually, trade back just a little bit, get a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick, whatever it is, and then you have more ammo to trade up, maybe to package something together and get a 2nd round pick. Like so don't feel like you got to trade all the way in the mid-20s. But the problem with that is I feel like you're going to get snaked. I don't think the guys, but the teams, but I don't think they can go very far back.
See, and I maybe I'm just way too high on Chop Robinson, but the dude is 21. He's generated a ton of pressures. Like I don't know who I like more between Chop, Inverse, and Latu. Now I don't think there's anyone in the draft, like after Byron Murphy, there's a clear drop off. So, sticking at 16 and taking him, or that I kind of get. But I think Chop is an awesome prospect for his age and his, skill set and athleticism and everything. And so, like, this to me just reinforces, because, like, even if, let's say, I got snaked on Chop on all these defensive guys, then I would have taken Graham Barton, right? And maybe even if we look down at like what was left when I took Christian Mahogany, like maybe the edges are better at that point. I'm not really sure they were. But like, yeah, I don't have any like serious regrets here if Seattle's consolation prize is Graham Barton and Chop Robinson.
The thing that I'm having some increased concerns about is, what if Graham Barton is not on there? Like, what if interior offensive line is not on their first round board? And so they're really looking at defensive tackle and edge are the only things, maybe Cooper DeJean, if they really think he's the safety, like corner hybrid kind of secondary player they want to add.
Ugh, no,
I'm just saying,
no.
But like, if it's edge and defensive tackle, then you're really talking about Verse, Newton, Murphy, and Chop probably are the 4 guys. And so we're just assuming that they're going to say, oh, Fautanu is I just wonder if we're way over assuming that they're going to draft interior offensive line in the first.
And so there's this weird thing with the draft where the top guards in this draft are actually tackles in college. And then as you get past the first round, the top tackles that'll be left, like your Rosengartens, your Fishers, and these types, other than like Kingsley Suamatia, don't project well to be guards at all, actually. Like Jordan Morgan, you don't want to move these guys inside, I don't think.
Morgan, there's definitely a lot of talk about him moving inside, but I agree with on a lot of the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think Morgan's of a similar mold. I think he, of those other guys, probably projects to move inside the best, but like I don't think you're playing him to his strengths there. And so, like, yeah, like I don't think they're probably going to take a guard in the first round. But then that leaves you in a weird spot where you're looking at, like, you have to hope that like Kingsley gets to you, or you're looking at like a Christian Mahogany or something like that in the second. Or, you know, maybe you go, if you can get 53 and then maybe Mahogany's there at 81, you can do it a little different. But yeah, I really do think it's the defenders. I think it's Murphy versus Latu and Chop should be the targets for that first pick, wherever it is, 16 to 28 or whatever it might be.
What I'm struck by is there was like the thing you talked about, whether these are realistic or not. There was basically not a single player other than Fuaga that was picked before the Seahawks pick that I cared when. That feels way too fortunate.
The Penix thing was an upset. JJ McCarthy is a little bit of an upset, but not really. I mean, but that's the thing. Like,
he's gonna go before they pick. It's I don't know where, but
yeah,
somewhere.
That's where I'm back to, like, it does feel really realistic that you can trade back and maybe still get Byron Murphy at 20 or Jared Verse at 20, even though I think those guys are top 10 picks in other drafts.
And this is why the Seahawks are in such a unique spot, because this draft lined up really differently. Because there's so many quarterbacks, so many receivers, and so many tackles that aren't all, depending on Abe Lucas, they're not needs. So Seahawks at 16 are going to get probably a top 5 guy of their needs. And if the numbers come in, that's where you could really move down. But that's where I'm kind of stuck of like, can you pass on one of these guys if you might lose all 4? And then what do you do? And that's where you might end up with like the Darius Robinson Nyland situation, which to me would be 2017 draft all over again. And it's
yeah. To finish that thought, Jeff, and this is kind of where my mind's going. Everyone's been assuming, not just us, but all the draft analysts have been assuming, okay, interior offensive line is what they need. They're going to go and just get the best interior offensive lineman. That has not been what John Schneider's ever done. Is not any indication he's done that. So if you take that off the board for the first round, like it's not an option. Then you're like the guys we talked about, Verse, Chop, Murphy, and maybe Newton, depending on how they feel about him. And if you trade back and those guys are gone, then you're into exactly what you just said. Then all of a sudden, the Seahawks are the ones drafting Marshawn Nyland in the first round. And like, I like Marshawn Nyland. I don't want him in the first round. Like, I don't feel good about that. Or they're reaching for like Rukaroro. Like, I mean, they're like doing something where you just feel like, what the hell are you doing? And then John Schneider's telling us in the post-draft press conference, everybody said they were just so upset that we picked this guy. They were all going to take him afterwards. And we're like, okay, John, sure.
Oh, God.
So that's where the trade back for me is a little uncomfortable. And if you made me bet on it, I'm about 70%, 60 to 70% thinking that they're going to stick and pick. And that if Murphy's there, that's just going to be their guy.
I think that might be the case, but here are the guys that went after Seattle, after I traded down: Amarius Mims, Byron Murphy, Brock Bowers, Latu, Fountaino, Newton, Jared Verse, JC Latham, Chop Robinson, and then Graham Barton the next pick. Like, other than the tackles, and even the tackles like JC Latham, you can pick him and I think feel pretty good about him as a guard option. I don't know, like all those guys I'm happy with, right? Murphy, Latu, Fountaino. I know you're not big on Newton. Verse, Latham, Robinson, Barton. That's just a lot of guys that all feel really good if you get them, like I said, anywhere from 16 to 24 or 25.
Yeah, the next pick is where you just like, if all those guys go, like Green Bay was like the team we kept talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like you go one spot down, and that's where you become in Cooper DeJean territory. And
Yeah.
it feels
like-
really different. It feels really so. I think if you're going
You
to trade
guys are-
down,
You guys are too low on him. You guys are too low on him just
I'm
because
not
of his
low-
picture.
Sure, I'm
Yeah.
not high on him. It's relative to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
They have been such a not physical team.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
just go another year where they don't take a physical player in the first round.
Yeah.
And DeJean, like the last 2 years, they have shifted. They've drafted differently. They've really gone with just like top guy on their board. They're not like corner and receiver last year. That.
Oops.
It's just I watched that Pittsburgh game. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah.
But I think
And
they're going
I
to be
need
able to
them
like
take a physical player.
they're going to be able to count like 4, 5, 6 guys. When we get to 16, there are going to be like that many guys, and so then you just try to trade down, 3 or 4 or 5 picks, and you make sure you don't miss that cliff. But it shouldn't be hard, right? Because the alternative is you do just sit and pick Byron Murphy.
Here's the thing, Nathan. You're like nails on a chalkboard because you're right. That is like the most likely. If we just forget about what I care about, what we probably care about, maybe not. I don't know, Nathan. I wouldn't say for sure where you are on this, but if we just say like what makes sense about knowing John Schneider, I do think take some of the offensive linemen off the board for the first round, the interior guys. Stick with the defensive guys we talked about, and since it look almost any scenario, there are going to be at least 3 or 4 quality players available at 16. John Schneider in that situation almost always trades down a few picks because he's like 6 to 1, half dozen the other, and we'll take the extra pick along with it. So I do think you're right that is a very probable outcome. I just don't want it to be. I think there's a significant gap in some of these players that we're talking about. I think there's a big difference between Jared Verse and Byron Murphy and Johnny Newton and Chop Robinson. Like
I'll fight you on the Chop Robinson part of that for sure.
And you wouldn't be alone. You wouldn't be alone.
No, there are people that are very high on him.
Yeah.
I think he's a pretty incredible prospect. Johnny Newton, like I get it. Like to me, he's a tier down from those guys, but yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, so we can wrap here, or if you guys want, I'm happy to do we don't have to pick for every team. If you guys want to do another quick mock through, I'm happy to do that. What do you guys want to do?
Should we do just a Seahawks one, just a regular one like that?
Yeah, let's just do a Seahawks one.
Let's do a regular Seahawks one. I like it. All right, we'll end on that. Let me get back to sharing my screen.
Yeah, Brian, you were doing that trade show where you're going through all the trade scenarios. And I was like, you have to trade down. That show made me really uncomfortable. I didn't like any of those trades.
I know.
It's
It's really affected my perspective going through and doing the math on these. And then after that show, I went through and did the recent trades. They're not appealing, guys.
that was it. I didn't like any one.
The Patriots moved down from 14 to 17 last year and picked up a 4th round pick. It's not cool. I don't want that. All right, let's do this. Let's jump into it. We are off and running. Let's see how this worked out. Now, PFF's mock draft simulator, I think we all agree, a little bit crazy on their valuations. I have to say that before Sam Monson's on the show tomorrow, and I'll talk to him about it.
Pretty much the same guys, like Alt 7, Turner 8, Rome 9.
Yep, pretty much the same. Okay. Hey, they went Terry and Arnold, so I wasn't even crazy.
We're pretty much had the same guys.
Okay, what are we doing? I will step out. Jeff, you and Nathan fight it over.
I already picked for them, so you and Jeff should.
Okay, Jeff, what are they doing here? This is what you want, not what you're predicting.
What I want?
Yes.
I
What do you want?
Murphy or Verse.
Pick one.
Let's go Murphy.
Done. So now we are sitting and waiting. And we're at 81 now in the 3rd round. What are you looking at next?
Guard.
I think Mahogany is a likely pick in the 3rd round. I think Pooney is an option. I think Mahogany very much feels like a Seahawks pick.
Is BB
Not
still
excited about him. BB. Let's see. He is. This is still stupid.
They're still too low on him.
So is Zach Zinter.
Yeah, they're too low.
Who are the edges that are still alive?
Yeah, who are the edges?
I'm gonna also pull up the receivers because
I was gonna say Malachi Corley's still sitting.
I mean, I'm like,
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting pick right there for sure. I also like Malik Washington quite a bit. Edges though.
Edge is gone.
Edge is gone.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
He gave up Chop and first to take Murphy.
Grayson Murphy, but it's way early for him. What about? Oh, we got defensive tackle already. So yeah, I think we're talking about
safety,
IOL, safety, and
Kitchens is there, but I'd rather wait for Mustafa.
Tight end, I think could be like they might be a Theo Johnson early team.
I think Mahogany is fine here.
Let's go Mahogany. I think that's a likely pick.
Gabe Murphy in the third round here. That's a lot higher.
Yeah, I mean Michael Hall.
Oh, Michael Hall was there. Oh,
yeah, I'm telling you, but they got Byron Murphy, so I don't think they double up on 3 techs.
So this is where I'd probably look at safety. I'd look at tight end.
Who did we have them taking on the last one?
We took Mahogany.
Oh, Mahogany. I see.
So I think safety makes a ton of sense here.
Yeah, this is the sweet spot. You got Bishop, you got Mustafa, you got Tyke Smith.
They could go James Williams, which is too early for him, but
Vaki.
Nathan hates Cole Bishop, so I feel like we should take him out of spite.
Here, though, like I kind of him and Mustafa. I like Mustafa more.
Yeah,
but
I don't think.
Yeah,
I just don't know that Mustafa profiles for them as well as Cole Bishop does. You guys choose.
I like Mustafa.
Done. Mustafa. I like him better too, but that's fine. 118. I think we got at least peek at the tight ends here. Like I think I could easily see them
is the best tight end in the class. I mean, other than Powers, obviously, but
yeah, I think
would be a great pick.
These two guys. Let's go Theo Johnson. I think it's probably a little more realistic.
Yeah, I think Sanat will be long gone. That guy's awesome.
Now we're here in the 6th round because we don't have a 5th round pick. Luke McCaffrey's there.
Yeah, I'd make that pick.
Done. Luke McCaffrey's a Seahawk. We are at pick.
Tip Ryman.
Tip Ryman's there.
We already took a 10.
No,
I know.
Sorry.
I like him though. Sorry. Brandon Jackson. I don't
Yeah.
think he's here this late. I think this is one of those PFF stupid things, but I would take Brennan Jackson for sure.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
What is
all right.
Anthony Gould's? How did he test?
He's a sleeper, dude.
Yeah,
I like Anthony Gould.
Do we take?
So he did well at his pro day. He's super small. We did just take McCaffrey though, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think Brennan Jackson.
Brennan Jackson.
Green. Yeah.
Done. And we have not done linebacker. Curtis Jacobs is sitting there.
Who's that linebacker?
Trevin Wallace.
Nathaniel Watson.
Oh my God. I watched Chad Reuters mock draft today for NFL.com. He had the Seahawks trading back, getting a 2nd round pick, and using it on Trevin Wallace.
In the 2nd round?
In the 2nd round. And like Michael Hall Jr. was sitting there. Like all these guards. It was like, it was hard.
Gross.
Tulafocio's moving up quite a bit. Nathaniel Watson. Trevin Wallace seems like makes the most sense though.
Yeah, for 7th round.
One in the edge that are still there though.
We just took Brennan Jackson.
We just took Brennan Jackson.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
All right, done. Trevin Wallace. All right, how are we feeling about this?
I like it. I mean, 6th round on. I don't know anything about Brennan Jackson. Trevin Wallace in the 7th feels kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
Seems good.
McCaffrey in the 6th, I think, is crazy. Theo Johnson in the 4th is pushing it, but I think it's not super crazy.
I think you're expecting a blue chip with Murphy, and then you have 3 starters, right? Like Mahogany and Theo are pretty safe picks, and then you can kind of see what comes of Mustafa. But he could be a playmaker, so feels good.
Yeah, I don't love it. I love Byron Murphy. I like the Theo Johnson pick. The rest of it, I mean, Mahogany he is like Anthony Bradford with less athleticism to me. Like,
I think he's much better than Bradford. I like
you
him.
think so?
I like him as a prospect considerably more. Yeah, I think so.
What do you like about him? Sell me on him real quick.
I think he just has more functional power, more kind of nasty to him. I like him more. He seems like a more just maybe more polished, like more ready.
Yeah. I agree on that. Anthony Bradford is definitely more of a project. He also just has a lot of like obscene athletic ability that I'm not sure Mahogany possesses, but I always am concerned about guys that come into the league already kind of farther along as a product and then don't have the athletic.
How old is he? He's
Mahogany?
23. That's not bad.
Yeah, he's not too bad.
And he's a 9.58 in the RAS score, so
yeah,
not totally lacking as an athlete.
No, I mean 95th percentile is crazy good. So I probably am being a little harsh on him, but I haven't read or seen anything that made me super excited about him. More like a guy that's like, yep, could very likely be a Seahawk, but not a guy I would be jumping out of my seat for. So,
and this
I should spend a little more time.
As I do these, like for a long time, I was having a hard time finding offensive line guys. Like I just didn't want to take them at all because the defensive guys are way too appealing at the top of the draft, and then by the time you get around to Seattle's picks, these guys aren't typically that exciting. And so it's a weird thing. Like if we were doing this without like John Schneider's history in mind, like I think I would be much bigger on Fountain as a like early pick or one of those guys, because I think the rest of the draft just falls way better for you.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to paint themselves into a corner, either sitting there or just taking one of these defensive guys, and it'll be great if they're right. Like if Murphy is what we hope he is, then all of this is fine, but they put themselves in a tough spot.
It's a tightrope because you're right, Nathan. If there's almost no situation where we're going to feel really good about where they come out of this draft at guard, at defensive tackle, at linebacker, safety, like all of those positions you could argue are pretty significant needs. And with the choices they've got, that either need to trade back and get a hell of a deal and then have the exact right guy fall to them, or you're gonna take a risk on not getting a blue chipper in the first round, but filling out more needs and have to hope that you hit on some of these later round picks. More likely, if they stay, you're gonna have one of those positions where, like linebacker for us in this draft was like didn't get addressed for a while. So it's gonna be stressful, man.
Yeah, I mean, their two biggest needs are linebacker and guard. And because of the class, linebacker is iffy. And because of their like historical preferences, guard is iffy.
Yeah. Yes. Well
so
said.
It's like I'm excited about Chop Robinson, but then like he could very well like not play for the first half of the season much because he's buried behind Mafe and Nuozu, right? And so it's like,
yeah. Well, Nathan, we lost Jeff to a power outage in his area. So I think that's a good cosmic sign that we should wrap there. I know I've got to get to dinner with the family. I'm sure you do as well. Thank you, Nathan Ernst at Nathan E11. Nathan E11 is the handle for joining. Thank you, Jeff Simmons at Real Jeff Simmons for joining. I'm Brian Nemhauser. You can find me at Hawk Blogger. And thanks to Garth Knight for all the super chats tonight. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them. We were running a little late on time, but really appreciate it. Thank you to all of the YouTube members. You can join with the link in the chat or in the video description. And thank you to all the patrons, patreon.com/hawkblogger. They will get access to this podcast, the audio version, tonight. I'm going to go eat dinner, but then I will put it up later tonight. You will get access to it, and you get access to the Slack channel. So a great time to join. We will see you all soon. I'm Brian Mazur. Have a great night. This was another edition of Mock Draft Madness.